Murphy law works always, and this was the problem. The PPT took some time in uploading. Give me a couple of minutes and we'll restart. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, let's start the session. This session is targeted for students who are targeting CAT 2015. Those of you who are here because of CAT 2014 may not find it very, very useful. But if you are looking at CAT 2015, then this is a session that might work for you. Okay. So let's be clear about the focus of the session. Okay. The idea of this session is to help those of you who are targeting CAT 2015 do some kind of a planning for yourself, to give you an idea about what the paper is like, to give you some tips or directions onto the preparation part, so that you can do a more effective planning and hence a more effective preparation for yourself. Okay. Okay. Now, before we start, let's just understand very quickly what are the things that the student is short tested on. The paper starts, the CAT, the paper, it focuses on checking your aptitude. It's called an aptitude test, but all aptitude tests check you primarily on two broad areas: basic arithmetic or basic number skills, or basic quant skills, or basic mathematical skills. These terms are used by and large interchangeably. So the word I've used is arithmetic, but by and large you should say it checks out on your basic arithmetic, mathematical calculation, or quantitative, or most importantly number skills. And the second thing is basic language skills. All aptitude tests, all MBA entrance exams look at testing you out in the first stage on these two areas. Okay. Why arithmetic or why mathematics? Because this is the way they can possibly check you out on your logical thinking ability, and language skills again to check out your ability to work in the language, which is a business language, and also to ensure or rather, let me not say the word ensure, or to look at the fact that can you again look at things logically or not. So logic, language, and basic number skills are what are important. Now, how do people get shortlisted? Because based on the written test and the final interview stage, there's an intermediate stage, which is the shortlisting stage. Now, while when we talk about shortlisting, we find many of these things are important. Profile consists of education, academic grades, what is your branch you have studied, the gender, work experience, CAT score, etc. So when we are talking about shortlisting, the word which people worry the most about is called profile. And one of the biggest set of queries which I get from students is asking me, is my profile good enough for an MBA institute or a top MBA institute? Now, my suggestion to all of you who worry a lot about your profile is to stop worrying about it. It is irrelevant. It is irrelevant because you can't change it. And what you can't change, you should not worry about it. You should worry about what you can. Secondly, when I'm looking at the profile, at the end of the day, what will profile consist of? It will consist of your past academics, which means what were your marks in 10th, 12th, so on and so forth. What was your field of study? Okay. What was your extracurriculars? Okay, and a few other things would be there similar to this. For example, your work experience. Okay. Now, all these things are important. Plus, please important that these things come into the picture only after you get a good CAT score. So, the most important thing to get an interview call from any institute is a good CAT score. And all these things which we worry a lot about called profile are actually not very, very important. They can help you in a borderline situation. They can help you get over the hump. But by and large, if you get a good CAT score, these become irrelevant. Secondly, most of the institute do not consider the profile aspect at all when they are shortlisting students. The only thing which is looked at for shortlisting students is the CAT score, and this is true for majority of the institutes. While some of the IIMs include CAT scores also, there are 10th and 12th scores. For example, when I look at IIM Calcutta will give weightage of, if I remember correctly, 13% weight is to CAT 10 marks in 10th standard, 10% to 12th standard, and 77% to CAT score. So is this really important? Yes, it is helpful, but it is not something which will make or mar you. For example, if you get a 99.878 percentile or 9 percentile, then average CAT here will not really matter. Okay, and when I'm saying average CAT, I'm saying as long as you are about 70% plus in 10th and 12th, IIM Calcutta is not an issue. Similarly, this year, IIM Ahmedabad reverted to its original scheme when academics is not important. In the current scheme of things, if you are a general category candidate and you have, let's say, more than 65% in 10th, 12th, and graduation, your marks don't matter. Okay. So when you look at the institute, please remember it is not important to have very good ACADs or to be significantly worried about your profile. Profile is important, but the most important aspect is the CAT score, and which is what you should be always focusing on. Okay, so CAT score is the one out here which is most important. And then you move to the third stage, in which you go through an interview. Typically, the next stage, or the personality assessment stage, as we call it, it consists of typically an interview. It can have group discussion. It can have an extempore. Group discussion, the variants can be case study. You can even have a group exercise. Okay. But broadly, these are the three things which are there. And off late, when I say off late, over the last 5 years, the written assessment test or the writing ability test, or you're given a topic and you're supposed to write an essay. And this has also come up. Occasionally, you will also find psychometric tests being used. Okay. But again, very, very insignificant. The key always is the interview, the VAT, and the GD extempore. Okay. Now, these are the things which you need to be worried about: interview, GD, VAT. So when I'm talking about VAT is essentially checking out your ability to present an argument in the written form in the English language, okay, and which is not tested at any stage in the process. Hence, VAT becomes important. And in fact, a large number of IIMs have stopped using group discussion or case study and have moved completely onto VAT. So it is, for many IIMs, it is only interview and VAT. For some of them, it is interview, group discussion, and VAT. For some of them, it could be only interview and GD. That these things keep on changing, but these tools by and large remain. And the good thing is, each of these tools supplement each other. So if you're looking at preparing, you need to be clear that at the interview stage or in the personality assessment stage, you will be tested also on your ability to write the language, while in the first stage or the CAT paper stage, your language written skills were not being tested at all. Okay. Now, with this small background in mind, let's see which are the areas you need to work on. Obviously, vocabulary and reading, verbal ability, the ability to work with words. Okay. LR and DI, these are reasoning areas, and DI is the calculation cum reasoning area. Quantitative aptitude is your basic 10th standard mathematics, which is checked out. General awareness and personality development or personality assessment, by and large, the personality assessment stage in CAT. In CAT, you don't have general awareness questions at all, but many other MBA entrances have general awareness inbuilt into it. In the written test itself, for example, IIFT, ZAT, SNAP, Tata Institute of Social Sciences. In fact, apart from CAT, almost all other papers you'll find have a component of general awareness to check out how connected are you to the world around you, because as a business person, you have to be connected to the world, and you cannot be sitting in a corner and not being worried about the rest of the world. Okay. So these are the areas where one needs to be focused on. Okay. Very, very quickly, let us look at what happened in CAT 15. CAT 2014. Fortunately for me, what I anticipated as CAT 2014 would be by and large came correct. No one can obviously predict it 100%, but by and large, I'm glad that we're on the right track. Okay. CAT 2014 was conducted over 2 days in 4 slots. So one slot in the morning of 16 November and another one in the afternoon of 16 November. Similarly, 2 more slots on 22nd November. Okay. And it was conducted in a larger number of cities as compared to earlier, which means it was a little more convenient for many of the students to take the paper who they did not have to rush to the state capital from their hometown just to take the paper. Yeah. In terms of the structure, it had 100 questions. Each question had 4 choices, and you're supposed to mark any one of them which you felt was correct. The paper was for 170 minutes, and the paper was distributed into 2 sections. The 2 sections were QA, DI, quantitative aptitude and data interpretation. Quantitative aptitude, again, let me repeat, is basic mathematics which you studied up to 10th standard. And data interpretation is ability to look at data, graphs, and do the basic calculations to come out with the answers. Then the second section was VALR, verbal ability, logical reasoning. Verbal ability is your language skills. It would include sentence questions of grammar, questions of sentence correction, fill in the blanks. It would have what you studied in school as reading as unseen passage, that is called reading comprehension, and logical reasoning, okay? Which means puzzles, etc. would be there. There were no time limits. That means the 170 minutes which you had, you could decide how to distribute them between the 2 sections. No guideline was given. It was entirely up to you. The key thing is you need to have a bare minimum score in each of the 2 sections to get the interview call or to move to the next stage. Okay. In terms of the content, in terms of the type of questions was similar. There was hardly any difference in the question types which we have seen earlier, but this year the difficulty level came down significantly. CAT 2014 was significantly less difficult than the earlier editions of CAT, and that was not surprising at all. In fact, whenever we have seen a change in the pattern of the paper, a change in the pattern always leads to easier papers. Okay? A change in the pattern always leads to easier paper, and which is why we were not surprised this year. We had always been saying that CAT 2014 will be less difficult than earlier CATs, which means CAT 2012, 13, etc., especially 12 and 13. The reason was there was a change in the pattern, there was a change in the medium, not in the medium, but change in the platform. And typically it has always been seen any kind of change in the pattern or the structure leads to easier questions. And this is true not only for CAT, but for all kind of exams. The logic being that whenever this pattern or the structure or the medium is being changed, the paper inherently is becoming a little more complicated, a little more difficult. And since it has already been made difficult by virtue of change in pattern or structure, let us make the questions easier so that the people are able to handle it. Which means in CAT 2000 in next year, which means CAT 2015, will the paper be as easier? No. CAT 2014 is the easiest CAT in the last 15, or let's say since since CAT 1990. If you look at CAT 1990 till CAT 2013 or CAT 2014, CAT 2014 is the easiest paper ever. CAT 2015, I would expect, would go up a little in terms of the degree of difficulty. Will it become as difficult as CAT 13 or CAT 2008? No, it wouldn't become that difficult. But yes, it is likely to go up a little in terms of degree of difficulty, which means those of you who are looking only at CAT 14 and saying, oh, it's such an easy paper, such simple quant, the RC was not difficult and hence we need not do anything, would be mistaken, would be on the wrong track. Please don't get carried away by CAT 2014 paper. As I said, CAT 2014 is the easiest CAT in the last 30 years or so. CAT 2015 is likely to be slightly more difficult. The level of question is going to go up a bit. That is what I would expect. So it would be useful for you to keep that in mind and then prepare accordingly. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at a few questions which keep coming back to me. In my blog GPK Funda, one of the common questions I said which I face regularly is my profile good enough for the top IIMs or not? And as I said, as long as you have about 65 to 70% in 10th, 12th graduation, by and large you are fine. If you have good extracurriculars, that's an added advantage. But even zero extracurriculars is not an issue. Similarly, there are many other questions which keep coming to me. Let me try to address a few of them. So hope, because I'm sure many of you face these questions. Okay. Typically, most of people feel that to get into a top IIM, I'm just in B school, but in general, people talk about top IIMs. You need to solve almost all questions with 100% accuracy. To get into a top IIM, you have to be an engineer, not only an engineer, but from a top engineering college. If you are from a small engineering college, from a God forsaken place, you can't make it. And also, you have to have work ex. Now, these are the things which people typically talk about. There is a bit of truth in each one of them, but that's not the complete thing. Okay? First of all, when you look at these questions, you don't need to solve all questions with 100% accuracy. CAT 2014, which as I've said is the easiest paper in CAT, easiest CAT paper ever, also did not need, even in this kind of a paper, students did not solve all questions. Okay. So even in CAT 2014, when I look at, as I said, easiest paper ever, a good attempt, depending upon the 4 slots. There were 4 slots, slot 1, 2, 3, and 4. These were the morning and afternoon of 16th November, and these were the morning and afternoon of 22nd November. The easiest slot out of the 3 was slot 3. So slot 3, which was the morning of 22nd November, even in this paper, very few students were able to cross 90 questions. A good attempt in this paper was about 75 to 80 questions. Out of 100 questions, a very good attempt in this paper was about 75 to 80 questions, and very few questions crossed 80 questions. Even in the easiest paper, yes, you will find in all 4 slots there would be a few questions who have done 95 questions, 82 questions, or more than 80 questions. But in general, what you need to remember, the number of students who have crossed 80 questions even in the easiest slot is very small, and hence you don't need to worry about doing the complete paper. The focus always has to be not only on the attempts. Yes, you have to attempt a large number of questions, because if you don't attempt sufficiently large number of questions, you are unlikely to get a call, because less attempts mean less score. The focus but has to be on accuracy. So what you attempt, you should attempt it correctly is the key thing which has to be there. And as I said, even in slot 3, something like a 75 to 80 was a good score, good attempt. In the other slots, by and large, 70 plus was a good attempt. Slot 4 was the most difficult. Out of the 4 slots, as per our data, slot 4 was the most difficult slot out of these 4 slots. And even here, something like a 70 plus attempt was a very good attempt. So whichever way you look at it, the number of attempts should not really get you worried. You don't need to attempt all questions. Yes, you need to attempt sufficient number of questions to get a decent score. And that number of questions will keep varying from paper to paper. Okay? Secondly, actually, many IIMs are not happy with the fact that a large number of people who clear the paper are engineers. Now, why is it? Let me just broad base this. Typically, people who are good in quant or mathematics, who have good quantitative or mathematical skills, are the ones. It basically boils down to the paper. So if you look at the paper, which I said, quantitative aptitude, data interpretation, they had 34 questions of quant, which is mathematics. Data interpretation was 16 questions. Section 1, that is of the paper, for those 50 questions. Now, these are nothing but maths or numbers in one form or the other. Then when you come to VA LR is 16 questions, which is logical reasoning, which is puzzles and which are also at times mathematical in nature. Then you have reading comprehension, 16 questions. And you have verbal ability, which is English language and portion, which was 18 questions. So if you look at these had 34 questions which were based on language and 66 questions which are based on mathematical or number skills. Now, given the fact that a large number of people have this the people who will clear the paper will obviously have to be good in this area, and which unfortunately or fortunately engineers tend to have a small advantage over others. Why do I say a small advantage? Because at the end of the day, this is 10th standard maths and English which is there. It is what you studied in 10th standard which is being tested. And let me assure you, most of the people from IITs and most of the engineers from top colleges have also forgotten these, and they have to start afresh when they do this. The only difference is, while most of them are confident that we can tackle it, if you happen to have left maths after 10th, you tend to become a little hesitant, you are a little underconfident, and hence you don't put in the effort. If you don't put in the effort, nothing will help you. The other thing is, when you look at IIMs and most of the other institutes, they tend to give weightage to students who are not engineers. For example, IIM Ahmedabad. IIM Ahmedabad has got a weightage for academic diversity. What does academic diversity mean? That if you happen to be a non-engineer, all non-engineers can get some weightage in some of the IIMs, and also in some of the IIMs there's a special criteria. For example, IIM Ahmedabad says top 50 candidates from different streams. They have made it in 5 different streams. Okay. For example, all the management sciences are in one side. All the students who have done BSc and similar things are on one side. So they have made 5 streams, and we don't include in 5 streams of academic study. And if all top 50 students from all those streams based on CAT score get a call. So there were cases last year in which a student who had done BCom got a call at 98 percentile also, and even at 94.5 percentile also. Okay? So you need to remember, while the paper is a slightly biased towards people who are good in numbers, the institute understand that and have taken steps to ensure that students who are from non-mathematical or non-engineering background get given some benefit on that account. Secondly, it is a 10th standard paper, and all of you have cleared 10th standard mathematics, so it should not be a problem. The issue is, are you willing to put in effort or not? Okay. And from top colleges, the number of students from let's say across the IITs who would be taking CAT is likely to be in the region of about 3,000 or even higher. Okay, not all of them make it. In fact, a very small fraction of those make it. If I include the number of IITians who take the paper, who are in the final year as well as who are working, the number is going to be much higher, but only a small number make it. And out of the 3,300 odd students who make it to the IIMs, the number of students from IIT is not likely to be more than 25 to 30%. Okay, so that's the kind of a thing. Similarly, from top engineering colleges, every year we find students from not so well-known engineering colleges, students who have studied in small towns and villages, students who have done BA, BCom, BSc, making it to the IIMs and other top institutes. The only difference between them and the others who don't make it is these people believe that they can make it and they are willing to put in the effort. Similarly, when you look at the WorkX is helpful in the interview stage, but most of the time WorkX does not help you get an interview call, except in IIM Bangalore. 2 institutes which tend to give good weightage for work experience are IIM Bangalore and SP Jain. They give WorkX weightage which is reasonably high. Okay. But all other institutes typically don't consider WorkX for interview shortlisting. For example, again, if I have to look at the top institutes, IIMA and IIMC typically don't consider WorkX for shortlisting you for the interviews. Weightage for work experience is given only at this next stage. So if you don't have work experience, you're not disadvantaged. And if you have work experience, you'll apart from these 2 institutes, you are unlikely to get any significant advantage in most of the other institutes. So in these 2 institutes, at the time of interview shortlisting, you'll get an advantage. All the other institutes are unlikely to give you any advantage. And which means as a fresher, I need not be worried. I should just focus on my CAT, ensure I get a good score there. If I get a good score there, I'll get shortlisted. And then after that, yes, whether I have a person who has WorkX will have small advantage, others will not have. That's fine. That can be tackled. But the other thing to remember is that the weightage for work experience, whenever it is there, okay, is usually not more than 5 marks out of 100, or it is less than 5%. Typically, this is the maximum that would be given to anyone. Okay. And when was this given? Most of the institutes feel a 3-year or a 36-month work experience is ideal. And the weightage for work experience peaks at this thing. So if you have a 2-year work experience, you will not get 5 marks, a weight of 5 marks. You will probably get 2.5, 3 or 4, depending upon the formula the institute uses. Similarly, if your work experience goes beyond 36 months, let's say 45 months, again, you will not get the same amount of weightage. Your weightage will, or the marks for work experience will go down. So work experience also is not an issue. And as I said, every year we find a large number of students who are from not so well-known colleges, not from IIT, NITs, with zero work experience, who have dropped a year, all of them making it to the institutes, top institutes, which are the IIMs, XLRI, FMS, and all the other institutes. So please stop worrying about these things and focus on what is important and what is in your control. My starting point always is, what is not in my control, I'll not worry about it. What is in my control, I will ensure I do very well in that area. Okay. So let's just quickly go through some of these things again. As I said, you don't need to be an Einstein. You don't need to do the paper 100%. As long as you're willing to put in some effort towards your basics, you will do it. Remember, I know I will be repeating myself on this aspect, but I think it needs to be repeated again and again, that as long as you can you can get your basics of quant and English of 10 standard. This is your 10 standard stuff. As long as you can do it well, it is fine. This is what will get you through. And a large number of students with poor academics who have not done well in academics in 10th, 12th graduation make it to top institutes always. Okay? The focus has to be not on knowledge but on your application. Okay? Okay? Many students have found they go to high level concepts, try to work out, find out what is the latest Chinese, what is that Chinese remainder theorem which keeps coming back to me. I don't know, frankly. All I know is my 10th standard maths and English. I think that is good enough to clear. The focus has to be on application. Knowledge is fine, but if you can't apply the knowledge which you have, it is not going to work for you at all. So don't waste your time on higher level stuff. And just focus on 10th standard stuff or the study material which you have, and ensure you do it well, rather than just going all over the place, doing all kind of things. And when in doubt, look at the past CAT papers. Look at the past IFT papers or the ZAT papers. Anything which has not come in the last, let's say, 3-4 years of these papers is unlikely to come. Can it come again? Yes, it can. Can something more difficult come? It can. But what is the probability? Almost zero. Focus has to be on 10th standard maths and English and ability to apply. To me, application of 10th standard concepts is the key to doing well in this paper, and which is why a good starting point many a time is starting with if you have sufficient time, 9th and 10th standard maths books. So when you're looking at quant or in mathematics, start from this. If you do your 9th and standard stuff completely, your fundas are in place. What is then required is going slightly high on the level of difficulty of those questions, okay? Because your fundas are in place, and to be able to apply them to questions, whatever knowledge which you have. Okay. Similarly, when I'm coming to English, okay, you need to focus on the language or understanding of the language. It is not sufficient to know the language. It is important again to be able to apply. And application of the language is checked out in various phases. For example, fill in the blanks. Okay? You may know a large number of words. You may need all kind of idioms and phrases. You may know all the rules of grammar, but if you can't apply them. For example, if I give you a set of 4 statements and ask you to combine them or logically arrange them in a coherent paragraph, and you can't apply these rules of grammar, let's say grammar or language or logic to arrange them, that means your ability to apply what you have learnt is low. Similarly, if I give you a passage of 4-5 lines and ask you to write down a summary of that, or what is the key thing which that passage is giving us. And you can't do that. That means your understanding of the language is not up to the mark. So the idea is not to see how good are you in English, or how well you can speak English, or how well you can write English. The starting point always, yes, they are important. But the starting point always is, can you just understand the language? Can you apply the language to help others understand? If something is given to you in the written word, can you understand what does it say? Okay? Can you pick out the key thing and remove the unessentials around it? Okay? And please remember, it does not mean that if you have studied in English medium, you will make it. You may or you may not. A large number of students who have studied in vernacular medium also make it, because all papers try to ensure that anyone who's not studied in English language or English medium is not disadvantaged. And which is why the focus is on usage, not on something which can be mugged up and vomited. So usage of words can be developed over a shorter period of time, and hence the focus is on usage and ability to apply rather than on something which you can mug up and vomit in the paper. Okay. This is one question which keeps coming back to me in my blog, in my inbox, in my email, or on my Facebook. Everywhere this keeps coming back to me. What other material I can do? What other classes will I have? Now my key thing to remember is that, sorry to be repeating this, but that this is a 10th standard paper, and the concepts which you need are limited. So more material, more classes will mean you will keep on doing more and more of those things which are not relevant to you. Okay? The key thing to remember is not more material and more classes, but the key word to me always is relevant. I don't know whether this word, the spelling of relevant is correct or not, but that is the way I've written it. Okay? The key thing to remember is the material or the classes which I am doing, are they relevant to the paper? For example, you could do extremely difficult concepts, you could master them, but if they are not going to come into the paper, what is the fun of doing it? And then the reason why the title of this session is CAT is not IITJEE, it is essentially because, let me just go back to that. CAT is not IITJEE. So this is to tell you that IITJEE is a paper of knowledge. Unfortunately, many coaching institutes tend to focus a lot on knowledge and very little on application. While CAT is all about application. If CAT is about application and you are wasting your time doing only knowledge gathering and not practicing and focusing on application, you will have a problem. IITJEE is a knowledge paper. Let's be clear about that. If you have good knowledge, if you have good concepts, if you have high level concepts, high level knowledge, you can clear IITJEE. It is a knowledge based paper for which a high amount of knowledge is required. CAT is not a knowledge paper, it is an aptitude paper. And the basic difference between an aptitude and a knowledge based paper is application orientation using very simple concepts. Okay. You can always come back and tell me, no, in IITJEE also application is important. Absolutely right, it is important. But the knowledge level required is much higher. The knowledge level of IITJEE is not 10 standard. The knowledge level is IITJEE is beyond 12 standard actually. But the knowledge level required for CAT is 10 standard, and all aptitude tests focus on 10 standard level stuff. So please focus on relevant things. Don't waste your time going into things which are not relevant, which are going to, when you will end up wasting your time a lot doing things which are not relevant. Okay, so my request or my suggestion to all of you is to ask whenever someone says, I'll give you more classes, I'll give you more material, it will not be able to complete, everything is fine. Is it relevant? How close was the material which you had to last year's paper or the year before last paper? How close was your test series to those papers? If the answer is not very close, I'm sure they will not say that, but you'll need to check out with the students. So check out with your friends or students who have studied from various places last year and ask them, was the material relevant? What was taught to you in the classes? Did things, or was the paper similar to those? If the paper was not similar to what the material which was given to them, or what was taught in the classes, then obviously it is not relevant. To me, quantity is important, but to me, relevance is the most important thing. For any exam preparation, relevance has to be the first thing which you have to look at. So don't worry about these things. Worry first about relevance. Ensure whatever material has been given to you, do it well. And hence you will be better prepared. Okay. The right way to me always is to practice, analyze, and revise. This is a three-step process which has to be followed by anyone. Okay. When I say three-step process of practice, analyze, and revise, let me just put that down. So when I'm saying practice, or rather before practice, you'll obviously have to have your basics or fundamentals in place. So what you're supposed to do is, for example, you look at the let's take any topic. Let's look at ratio proportion. Okay, ratio proportion. You pick up a topic in your study material. You go through the fundamentals. Once you have gone through the fundamentals, once you have gone through the fundas, next step is do the solve the questions. Solve questions which are given there. Most of the time, the first stage will be without choices. Why without choices? Because to check out whether you have understood the concept completely or not. So solve questions without using the choices at all. Some books in our material we have what we call the without the questions which check your concepts. And once you have done that, you go on to solving questions which are in the multiple choice format. So MCQs. Once you have done these, so these two means your concepts are in place. This means your application orientation is being checked. Okay. Now, once you do these, you need to remember, well, this was the fundamental stage. This is the practice stage. In addition to this, you should be looking at solving questions online also. Okay. So all I'm saying is first you get your fundamentals in place, then go into the MCQ stage. This is the practice stage. And once you do this practice stage, you should identify the questions which are important for you. Identify important questions. The important questions will be the one which give you a way of solving a question. Okay, way of solving questions. Some maybe it help you give you a shortcut. Okay, they give you some kind of a shortcut, or it help you clear some concept which was not clear earlier. Okay, now you should identify these concepts and these questions either bookmark if you are doing it on the computer, or highlight if it is in your funda book. Okay. And these are the questions you have to revise regularly. Okay. It is important to revise regularly because if you don't revise, you tend to forget. Does it mean from now till next November you'll keep revising? Yes, you'll keep revising, but initially your pile of revision will keep going up. It will reach a certain level, and then you'll find a few questions which you have revised 6-7 times, you know them by heart and you can stop revising them. But revision has to be an integral part of your preparation. If you're ignoring revision, you will always end up losing out. So, and then you analyze. When I say the analysis part, analysis means just checking out where are you going wrong. Analysis is more important when you go to the full papers, but even at this stage, once you have done your concepts, once you have done the basic thing, you should also be able to say, okay, great, I've done this topic, but I'm still getting confused in this particular area. And then you go back and do it. So to me, practice, revision go hand in hand. Analysis is extremely important. And please remember, it is consistent effort which is required. Many people don't start or don't do anything over the week and only do over the weekend. Or they say, okay, I have next couple of months are extremely hectic for me. Let me not do anything next couple of months, and then I'll sit down for a week and do 10 hours every day and crack it. That won't happen. Consistent effort, 2 to 3 hours daily, and 6 to 8 hours on holidays. So if you are working, let's say, and you say I can't give 3 hours, that's fine. Give 1.5 hours. My preference is to give about 2 hours every day. If your work schedule does not permit you 2 hours, give yourself at least 1 hour, at least 1.5 hours. And if you tell me I can't find time to do it, then I will say that you should not be looking at CAT at all. Because this paper is about consistent effort. Okay? You need to practice regularly. You need to build a speed, and building a speed will happen only when you practice regularly. You will remain in touch with concepts only if you do things regularly. So 2 to 3 hours daily is extremely important, and 6 to 8 hours on your vacations, on your holidays, to take it to the next level. Okay, so if you can, as long as you can do this kind of a thing, which means something like a 20 to 25 hours per week. Okay, if you can do, by and large, you will be in place. Some of you may be able to manage in 15 to 20. Some of you may need 30 to 35 also. That variation will be there. But by and large, 20 to 25 hours a week from now on till CAT is more than enough to clear the paper. Finally, start early. Okay. Now what do I mean by start early? To me, the right time to start preparation for CAT is about 10 to 12 months before CAT. Okay. Some people can go up to 15 months before CAT, but something like on a ballpark, 1 year before CAT is the right time to start. Okay. Now please understand that for those of you who are in college, you don't have to only prepare for CAT, you also have to look at your college exam schedules. You'll have summer training, you'll have internships, you'll have regular exams in college. So if you start 12 months before CAT, you are fairly safe. But as I said, something like 10 to 12 is the right approach. So right now we are in December, end December. So if you start now, let's say you start in January, CAT is expected to happen November 15, let's say mid-November 15. Okay. So that gives you about 10 to 11 months. Jan to October is 10 months. That is good enough for us. Now supposing you say, no, I want to focus on my college. I will complete my semester exams in April, May, and then start. I'm sorry, you may not have sufficient time. If you're going to start in June, July, you'll suddenly find that you have about 3 to 4 months only, which may not be sufficient to revise your concepts of 10th standard, revise 10th standard concepts, or get your fundas in place. To get your fundas in place, you will need 3 to 4 months of preparation. So the way to look at it is that you need 3 to 4 months to get the concepts or the fundas in place. Once you have these concepts of funda in place, then it is a question of regular practice, regular testing, regular analysis of the whatever you have done, and regular revision. Okay. But first 3 to 4 months are required. So if you decide that I will complete your college exams of third year or final year first and then start, you may be struggling for time and you may not be able to be very sufficiently well prepared for the paper. Okay. So let's look at the next thing then. And this I am giving as a kind of a guideline. The preparation plan that I'm suggesting here, there's a kind of a guideline for all of you, need not be followed to the T, but you should modify it based on your requirement. For example, if you're extremely good in, let's say, quantitative aptitude, then obviously you can do your mathematics a little faster. If you are weak, you may need to give us a little extra time to that. Similarly for the other portions. Okay? So the strategy for preparation of CAT 15 is a kind of a guideline, okay, for you. Okay? And what we are saying is Jan to October, 10 months, 5 days for 31st of October, because assuming CAT to be in around 15th of November or mid-November, that means we should be ready by 31st October. So to me, 31st October is the deadline which I'm looking at, by which time you should be completely ready, which means if a paper is to be taken on 1st November, you are completely at peace. And this is the schedule you should try to look at. As I said, please don't forget that if you're in college, you will have your semester exams, you'll have your internships, and you'll have other things to worry about. And similarly, if you're working, you cannot ignore your job. You have to focus on your work also, on your job also, to ensure you don't suffer on that aspect. Now this is one thing, another thing which I would like to take on here. A couple of people every day ask me, should I leave my job and then prepare, or should I start my preparation after I have done my engineering and drop a year? To me, both of them are not desired. As I said, CAT preparation will take you about 2 to 3 hours daily, or let me say on your weekdays or working days, and on your holidays, Saturdays, Sundays, for example, you can do about 6 to 8 or even 10 hours per day. Okay. Now I'm sure you can manage this much time with your work. You can say your work will give you 1 hour, that's fine. The holidays or the vacations can be increased. Similarly, if you look at with your college, this schedule is not difficult. Now, when you say that I will do it after I complete and then drop a year or I'll drop my job, what you'll also do is unnecessarily put yourself under pressure. First of all, you will get bored preparing for CAT only. So if you quit your job now and say 1st January, I'll just sit at home and prepare, you'll suddenly find after a couple of months you don't have sufficient work to do. You will get bored. And not only that, you'll put yourself, as I said earlier, under pressure of performance too, because now you don't have a backup. So your college or your work is your backup. So you should continue working. You should continue your preparation with your college only and not wait for college to get over or to drop your job and then start the preparation. Okay. As I said, 2 hours weekday, 5 to 6 hours per day on weekend, and this can go up to 10 hours also, depending upon what kind of stamina you have. Okay. And as I said earlier, don't leave for vacations to arrive. Don't say that I will start on that day and then look at this, let me get rid of this thing. It won't happen. Okay. It won't happen. Most of the time you are going to miss out on critical thing, or you may not have sufficient time to prepare at all. Another thing which you should look at is understand the paper first of all. And this I'm saying not only CAT. You should understand not only CAT but also other papers like XAT, IIFT. Okay. CAT, XAT, IIFT, these are 3 important papers. For some of the others, the other important paper will be SNAP. So CAT, XAT, IIFT, SNAP, and the 5th one is NMAT. Now the good thing about all the papers are that they are about 75 to 80% similar. They are 75 to 80% similar in terms of the kind of question which they ask. And if you remove GK is tested in all papers except CAT and NMAT, sorry. These papers have GK, CAT does not have GK, NMAT does not have GK. So if you remove GK, these papers are about 95% similar, 90 to 95% similar. Okay. So you need to first understand this concept, understand the kind of papers. So it may not be a bad idea for you to take a diagnostic CAT. If you could go to the Career Launcher website and take a DCAT there, it will at least give you an idea what kind of paper it is, and it will help you identify where do you need to work. You may find that you can solve the question, but you are poor on speed. You may find you can't even solve the question, which means you will have to start from the basics immediately. And the earlier you start working on the basics or the fundamentals, the better it is always. So when you're looking at this paper, first thing is to take a DCAT, understand the paper, what is the kind of paper pattern which is there. After taking a DCAT, understand what are your requirements, and then work out your own guideline or a blueprint or a strategy document or a way forward from now till October. Okay. To me, these are the most important things. Everyone will tell you that CAT is all about quant, about mathematics and everything else. But to me, the most important skill to do well in this paper is the ability to read fast and understand fast. It is reading skill which is the most important skill. If you can't read fast, your comprehension is poor, you will never do well in the paper. Please understand this paper is different from the ones which you have done in school and college. All the papers which you have done in school and college, all your college exams, semester exams, each one of them expected you to write for 3 hours. Okay. Each one of them give you, let's say, 5 questions, 7 questions, 10 questions, and give you a sheet, lots of sheets of paper to write your answers on. So the most important skill in school and college exams was the ability to write fast. So if you can't write fast, you will not be able to do well in school and college exams, because in 3 hours you have to answer so many questions. But when you're coming to this kind of a paper, CAT and all other aptitude tests, in 3 hours, if I say, let's say, okay, CAT was 170 minutes, which was 2 hours, 50 minutes. In these 170 minutes, the amount of writing which you will need to do will be maybe for 5 minutes. Oh, let's say 15 minutes, okay? Not more than that. About 150 minutes plus is when you are reading. So it is a reading oriented paper. If you can't read fast, if your comprehension skills are poor, you will never do well. Out of 170 minutes of CAT, 150 minutes you are reading. And if you can read fast and comprehend fast, you can read mathematics questions also fast. Your comprehension is good. That means you will be also able to comprehend data or graphs faster. So the key thing to remember in this paper is this is not about writing, this is about reading. So please develop a reading habit. The more you read, the better you will be. So as a part of your preparation, you should say, I will definitely read half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour every day. For example, when you're traveling to work or traveling to college, in your bus, in metro, you can always be reading a book. Okay. At home, you should be reading newspapers. Okay. So when I'm looking at this paper, my starting point is read, and read. And the reading will have to be done on both the mediums, online as well as offline. But my preference is to go for online reading, because if you can read online fast, offline speed will in any case go up. And the most important paper for you, CAT, is an online paper. It's a computer-based test. So if you read online, it will be better for you. So read a lot, at least the newspapers. You should not be reading the physical paper newspapers. You should be reading the e-newspapers. You should be reading serious stuff on the computer regularly, so that you become comfortable with the concept of reading regularly on computer. And don't tell me that I can spend 3 hours in front of computer doing net surfing or doing Facebooking. That's useless. We are talking about reading serious stuff. We are not talking about entertainment. We are saying, can you sit in front of a computer, read for 45 minutes at a stretch without moving anywhere else, and after that you still have good understanding and comprehension of what you have read, and you can still go further. So reading serious stuff is critical. Second is basic calculation skills. What does that mean? Tables. Let's say up to, I would say 10 into 10 is good enough, but if you want, you can go up to 20 into 20 also. But this is the kind of tables which you need. Squares, square roots, squares of numbers up to 30, square root of numbers up to, let's say, 15, cubes of numbers up to, again, 20, and cube roots of numbers up to 10. These are essential. And finally, you should be able to mug up these reciprocals. What do I mean by reciprocals? Reciprocals would be reciprocal would be, for example, 1 by 2 is 50%. So reciprocal of 2 is 0.5 or 50%. 1 by 7 is 14.28%. I prefer remembering it as percentage, because the utility of reciprocals is in percentage calculation. Similarly, 1 by 23 is 4.35%. But this is not good enough. If I ask you what is 1 by 23, say 1 by 23 is 4.35, that's a good start point. But what is 22 by 23? Obviously, it should be 100% minus 4.35%, which means approximately 95.65%. Okay, so this should not be required. You should straight away be able to do it. If 1 by 23 is 4.35%, 5 by 23 should be 5 4s are 20, and say about 21.5% approximately. If you want to be exact, 5 4s are 20, and 35 into 5 is 175, so 21.75%. Now, this is what you should be able to do. Reciprocals are extremely important. They will help you a lot in the calculation part. So most of the students who are good in quant suffer a lot in an area called data interpretation. Why? Because their calculation speeds are low, or their calculation ability to calculate fast is very poor. And which is why reciprocals, squares, square roots, cubes, cube roots, and tables are extremely important. And which also means if you go shopping Please don't wait for the shopkeeper to tell you what is the bill. Can you do that calculation mentally? The fastest way to calculate is not to use a paper or pen and calculate mentally. And which is what would be the requirement out here. And if you can make that as a habit, you will definitely be at an advantage. This is the kind of structure you could create for yourself. Okay. Jan to May, you could do these things. You could focus on the concepts and again, reading newspaper. Okay. This is optional. Business newspaper is optional. Reading newspaper every day is important. You could read Times of India, HT, you could read Indian Express, you could read Hindu. The last two are a little difficult to read, but better in terms of knowledge. These are easier to read. So if you are just starting, not very comfortable with reading, these are good starting points. If you are already fond of reading, these are these papers which you should be reading. Sunday Times of India, Sunday Hindustan Times are extremely good newspapers. They have good articles from all over the place. You should be reading them also. Okay. So all I'm saying is get into the habit of reading and create a structure for yourself when you are able to solve questions from various areas. Okay. So this is what you could do for vocabulary. You could do similarly for verbal logic portion. Grammar, I don't expect you to do Lennon Martin. I want you to focus on sentence correction. Lennon Martin would mean wasting a lot of time for the 4 questions which come in the paper. Sentence correction would mean, can you identify the kind of errors and focus only on those kind of errors? Again, this is a question between the difference between is knowledge and relevance. Grammar is important, but unfortunately you did not study grammar when you were in school, and this is not the time to start doing grammar all over again. You don't have sufficient time. If you start with Lennon Martin, you will not be able to do sufficient work for yourself. So don't focus on knowledge. Lennon Martin is to me knowledge. And sentence correction to me is application. Focus on the kind of questions which come, kind of errors which are there, and ensure you understand those kind of errors. For example, parallelism is a kind of an error. Can you identify questions based on error based on parallelism? That is good enough. Okay. I don't need to know what is a gerund. I don't care also. Why? Because it is not relevant for the paper. My complete pitch for any kind of preparation is I have to be relevant to the paper. Okay. Your mock CATs should actually start a little earlier. May is the time, or April, May is the time, or whenever you have done your let's say the fundamental, you can start taking full length tests. Okay, full length test, which means a 170-minute paper of along the lines of CAT. Okay, you could do full section test also, which means an 85-minute paper on QADI and an 85-minute paper of VALR. Okay, so this testing has to be an integral part when you prepare. Once you are done with your fundamentals of all areas, you can start doing that. But should you wait for all areas to be covered before you start doing your FLTs? My answer is no. My suggestion would be, don't wait for all areas to be covered before you start doing your FLTs or full length tests. In April, May, you should start taking full length tests. The reason being, the questions which come in CAT, you are familiar. And many of them can be solved with some common sense. Secondly, in any case, you are not expected to solve all questions. You don't have to solve, or you are not expected to solve all questions in the paper. This is not a requirement of the paper. Which means when you're doing a paper, you should also learn the art of leaving questions. While it is extremely important to identify which questions to attempt, to me the art of leaving questions is as important, if not more important, for doing well in this paper. The reason is extremely simple. If I pick up a question which I don't know how to solve, which I'm not sure of solving, and I end up wasting 5, 6, 7 minutes in that question, it will put me under pressure for subsequent questions, because I would have wasted a lot of time. So to ensure that you are not wasting time, you should be able to avoid leaving questions which are difficult for you. So art of leaving questions, if you can develop, leads to low wastage of time. Okay. So art of leaving question important. So which is why the earlier you start taking FLTs, the better it is. But do ensure you start doing that in May, June, if not later, if not earlier. But to me, you can start taking a FLT even now. Every month you should take a couple of full-length papers and see how you are doing. This will keep helping you identify how good or how you are improving, and it will also help you become better in the art of paper taking. The art of paper taking also means the art of leaving questions and the art of choosing questions. So which questions to attempt and which questions to leave is an important part of this paper, and for which you need to take a paper to understand how it is to be done. Yeah. Secondly, do not ignore the past papers of other exams. October onwards, your focus has to shift significantly to older papers. Older papers for me would mean, okay, CAT paper. The older papers would be CAT papers of 1990 to 2008. Okay, 2009 to 14 papers are computer-based tests, and they have not been released in the released by the IIM, hence you don't have access to them. But till 2008, which you have papers, you should be doing. Okay, to ensure you don't lose out because of not having this thing, all of us in Career Launcher take papers, CAT, all the exams regularly, and we know what kind of questions come. So all our FLTs, our section tests, and mock CATs are created to ensure that we are similar to them. So these questions are not available to us, but we know what kind of questions, so we create questions along those lines. Additionally, IFT, this will be from, let's say, 2009 to 2014 for you. SNAP from 2008 to 14. That, again, 2008 to 15. Why 15? Because 5th January, this paper will happen in 5th January, so it is a year later. The only paper in that which you should not be looking at is, do not look at that 2011. 2011 should not be looked at by you. You can solve those questions, but don't take it as a paper. Okay? So the past papers are very good practice for you. They also get you into the right frame of mind, and hence closer to these exams. So so in October onwards, you have to focus a lot on the older papers of CAT, IIT, SNAP, ZAT, keeping in mind the schedule of the exam. So if ZAT is in January, you can start with the older ZAT papers in December and mid-December. Okay. Similarly, SNAP happened in mid-December, so you can start with the older SNAP papers end November or early December. Okay. Okay. The same thing will have to be done for LRDI. One of the first things which I said about DI was calculations. Those are the things which you need to remember. Okay, I am a great fan of Vedic maths. It has helped me a lot in terms of improving my calculation skills. If you can learn that and apply it, it's all going to be helpful. In CLB, in any case, Career Launcher students learn it, and those of who are able to apply it gain a lot. So to me, along with the basics of calculation of square root, cube roots, Vedic maths is the other thing. Okay, and DI and LR is a lot about practice. There's a lot about practice and exposure. You need to expose yourself to different kind of data, different kind of sets which can be asked in the paper. Okay, so LR and DI is primarily logical reasoning and data interpretation. These are primarily practice driven. Okay, and practice, and you have to expose yourself to different kinds of data. So this is a place where if you have not done the complete study material provided by Career Launcher, you would have missed out on a few things. Okay, and FLTs, mocks, okay, test gym, all of them have questions from this area as well as from other areas. Please practice these a lot. Expose yourself to different kind of data sets, different kind of patterns of the questions, and here again bookmark the kind of data sets which you find difficult or which give you some kind of a concept, which give you some way of solving questions fast. Please bookmark them or highlight them and revise them regularly. So revision is important here. Also, what I said earlier, To me, revision is an integral part of quant. It is an integral part of LRDI. It's an integral part of RC as well as verbal ability. The focus in LRDI has to be twofold. One, as I said, understanding which happens through practice and revision. And second is to speed, increase your speed. And the starting point for speed, as I said, was basic calculation stuff. Vedic maths is what will help you do faster. So continuous exposure through practice and exposure leading to better speed and accuracy is the way forward. Please don't ignore revision. Yeah. Same thing with quantitative aptitude. To me, the best place for most of you to start would be arithmetic. Well, some of you may want to start with geometry or algebra, can do it off some number system. To me, the best place is to start with arithmetic because this is what most of you would be very comfortable with. Okay, so start from this part of percentages, ratio, proportion, time, speed, distance. The good thing is this is extremely helpful for data interpretation also. So when I'm starting with arithmetic, I'm actually starting data interpretation also because data interpretation is a lot about ability to calculate and which will get honed out here also. Yeah. So start from this is my recommendation, but if you want to start from some other place, that is fine with me. But the key thing to remember is that basic principle of getting your funda in place, of getting your fundamentals, unsolved questions, then move on to MCQs, and then revise. This so just because you have started with percentage question, when you do your FLTs, whether percentage questions come there, they again will have to be revised. Okay, so focus on this basic sequence, and things will form in place. Now, as I said earlier, work out your own schedule. This is a broad schedule which is given, and if you can follow this kind of a thing or create this kind of a thing based on your specific requirement. For example, you may say, no, I can't do much in April because I have to go to for summer internship, April and May. That's fine. Reduce the workload in April, May, increase it in June, July, or increase it in Jan, Feb, March. So based on your individual schedule of semester exams, college exams, and the internships and workload, please work out a schedule for yourself. This is extremely important. Why is it important? General awareness. General awareness is extremely important because it is covered in almost all exams outside CAT and NMAT. So IFT has general awareness. So general awareness or current awareness, business awareness is available in all three. It is not there in NMAT and CAT. But that does not mean that it is not tested. When you go for the interview, it will be tested there. So while general awareness does not have questions in CAT and NMAT, when you go for IM or NM interviews, you will be asked questions on general awareness or current affairs. Also, we need to remember, whenever you have group discussions require you to have knowledge of current affairs. Okay? Current affairs or general awareness. Why? Because the topics are typically picked out from the current affairs areas. For example, should the Narendra Modi government go for ordinance route for coal block allocation or not can be a topic for discussion. Similarly, the unfortunate incident which led to the banning of the cab services in Delhi can be an issue of discussion. Okay? So you need to remember, group discussion topics are usually pulled out from current affairs, and hence if you are not good or if you don't have knowledge of current affairs, you will struggle in group discussions. And which is why it is extremely important for you to read newspapers daily and supplement it with a current affairs magazine. It could be Outlook, it could be India Today, it could be Frontline. Based on your preference, I don't have any specific preference. Pick up any one of them, any one newspaper to be read regularly, every day, any one weekly current affairs magazine which helps you revise in a way whatever you have read in the last 1 week. And please watch television debates. Yes, I know many of these debates are shouting or slanging matches, but once you start going through those channels, you'll realize which is the channel which you would want to watch. You can avoid those shouting matches. I'm looking more at content-based discussions. Okay. In terms of newspapers, the most important page is the editorial page. The editorial page is important. It gives you the editorial view of the newspaper. That page also has articles from eminent personalities of experts from various areas on various issues. Okay, so please read these necessarily. It is okay to not to read Bombay Times or HT Horizon or other areas, but the editorial page is a must. In addition to this, you should also look at reading the business page. The business page of the newspaper and the international page. Editorial, business and international pages are the most important ones. These you need to read regularly. And as I said earlier also, the Sunday newspapers Sunday edition of most of the newspapers have very good articles and from various areas, which again you should be reading. Okay. And whatever is connected to your area. So if you are doing BA Economics, you should obviously be more in tune with what is happening in the economic environment in the country. Okay, and work on specific areas also. ILMA and TIS, for example, they have their GK is a little more oriented towards, or in fact, ILMA calls it issues and social concern. So it is more rural oriented. It talks more about government policy and schemes which are impacting the rural environment or the agriculture businesses. Okay? So, but to begin with, while this can be deferred, to me, this is important. This is important. Okay. And in the last couple of months, it is the basic quizzes which are important. In the Career Launcher website in SIS, you will find a large number of weekly quizzes, and you can keep doing them to make sure you are well versed with the current affairs. Okay. Now, this is something additional which you can look at. Now, please remember, almost all MBA institutes have also started incorporating the written assessment test. Where all do you have? XLRE, the paper has a component of essay. SNAP has introduced written assessment test. All IIMs now expect you to write on the GD topic. Even if there's a GD, they expect you to give a small write-up on the topic. Some of the IIMs which don't have GD, they give you a topic and give you 15 minutes and ask you to write a short essay on it. So written assessment is an integral part of most of the institutes now, and hence you should definitely get into the habit of writing also. So when you follow a story in the newspaper or the channel, can you write your opinion on it? After watching a debate in television, can you write an opinion on the topic? So all I'm asking you to do is to get into the habit of writing. Okay, the more you write, the better you will become in this area. Unfortunately, after school, many of us have not written essays, and reading and writing are not the favorite pastimes of most of us. So most of us will need to spend time reading and spend time writing to improve in this area. Okay, and it need not be restricted only to this. You watched a play, a movie concert, you watched a cricket match, write your review. The more you write, the better you will become. Writing helps you condense your thoughts into words and give a clear picture of what you feel. And at the end of the day, that you will have to express yourself in the written word, and if you are not coherent, if you are not logical, you will not be able to do well in this area. So in addition to reading, I am expecting you to write regularly. And finally, speak. Can you make a speech? The topics which you have written on, can you speak on them also? On 5 minutes. Again, will be helpful in the interview. FMS has an extempore, will be helpful there also, but most importantly in the interview, it will be very helpful for you. And in the group discussion, again, this will be helpful for you. So this will be helpful for you in the group discussions as well as the interviews. And so please focus on these areas. These are things which mean writing and reading which are completely neglected. Please do this now onwards, and your general awareness will improve, your writing and reading skills will improve, and you will be able to do well not only in the written test but also in the GDs and the interviews. Personality assessment. Now, unfortunately, most of the people tend to call this the GDPI stage. This is not the right way to look at it. It is not GDPI stage, it is a personality assessment stage. Your personality is being assessed to check suitability for the institute. Now, the tools which are used are group discussion. Let me just go back here. The tools which are used for personality assessment are interview is the one which is used by all the institutes. Okay. Then you have group discussions. You will have case studies. You will have group exercise. Now these are variations of making you work in a group and see whether you can work with others or not. But all of them are similar in nature. Then you can have extempore, which means the topic is given to you and you are asked to speak on it for a couple of minutes. Okay. Then you can have other tools also. For example, some of them have psychometric tools. Symbiosis, others, let me say, symbiosis occasionally makes use of psychometric tools also. Okay. But even within an interview, there's a variation. For example, SP Jain has a group interview, which means six candidates are taken together in a room, seated, and an interview come GD is conducted simultaneously for all of them. So that's a variation of interview or a combination of interview and the group discussion, and they call it the group interview. So there are various tools which are used, and you need to be clear that the underlying theme is common for all of them. Underlying preparation is the same for all of them. But if you say it is an interview, you will miss out on many important aspects. Okay. So the focus should be on assessing the personality and not being overly worried about the tool per se. Okay. Now, in these, your capability, your ability to apply, your knowledge base is checked out. Your ability to you're checked. What is also checked out, what kind of person you are. Do you know yourself or not? And to me, this is the most important part of the interview or the personality assessment per se. It is your self-awareness which is important. If you understand yourself, then all these things can be taken care of. If you don't understand yourself, then nothing can be done about you. So the preparation for personality assessment stage actually has to start from understanding the self. So self-awareness is the most important aspect, and that is where focus would always be there. Okay. What is helpful in this stage is the knowledge base which you have picked up by reading newspapers and articles and so on and so forth. That's an additional thing. But starting point will always have to be, how well do I understand myself? Okay. Just to repeat some of the things which I've said earlier, this would be some common things would be here. Okay. That please read regularly and read on the computer, because CAT is an online paper, and if you can read fast online, offline reading is not difficult. But online is usually more strenuous. The norm which we have seen works is 1 hour of online is equivalent to something like 45 minutes of offline. Okay. So 1 hour online, let's say 1 hour on the internet is something like 40 minutes on the on the offline mode. Okay. So offline is less strenuous because that is what we are used to. Online is more strenuous. Your reading speeds go down. Your ability to comprehend data go down. So do this regularly. This is one of the most important habit change that you have to get for yourself. Okay. The amount of time you should spend in analyzing a bunch of practice questions is 4 times the amount you take to solve them. Okay. One of the things which I always insist students should do. Now, many times we talk about the fact that I need what I talked about earlier is I need more classes, I need more material. Yes, if you keep doing that, you'll never be able to practice. Please remember, every 2 hours of class will lead to 8 hours of work. And if these 2 hours of class are not followed by these 8 hours of work, this is a useless item. So when I'm looking at the preparation, please remember, again I'm repeating, be relevant. When I say relevant study material, relevant things taught in the classes, so relevant classes, relevant test series, relevant question types, relevant degree of difficulty. All of them are extremely important, and this is possible only if you are focused on the goal and doing what is required for the paper. You can increase your knowledge base significantly by doing the things which are outside the scope of the paper, but they will not help you clear the paper. On the contrary, they will ensure you will not clear the paper. So read a lot, practice a lot. For every class which you take, there has to be significant amount of time which you have to spend practicing and revising also. And one of the things which again is important from my point of view is options, the choices. Okay? Now please remember, when I'm looking at any kind of a paper, okay, like CAT or any MCQ, it is a question followed by choices A, B, C, D. Now, can you use these choices to get the answer? If you can, you will be able to solve questions faster. If you can't, then you will end up taking a larger amount of time for many questions. So when I'm looking at this paper, I'm also saying, can you start looking at the choices? So when you're doing the multiple choice questions, your approach should be read the question. Next step, read the choices, apply choices, get the answer. That should be the approach. Now, in some questions, you will not be able to apply the choices, in which case, read the choices can lead either to apply choices or solve by conventional methods. Okay, but you have to read the choice along with the question, because only when you read the choices will you be able to apply them. So please make it a habit that once you start doing the multiple choice questions, you will be able to solve the questions also with the help of choices. Okay. Okay, let's move forward. The thing which you need to again remember is this one, that relevance. I'm again saying be relevant. Your entire preparation has to focus on relevance. If you're not relevant, you'll always have a problem. Very quickly, that these are the things which you should be looking at when you're preparing for CAT. Okay, that do you have availability throughout? Whenever you need, do you have stuff? Am I getting to the point practice? Is it something which is relevant again? Is the test series, is the material, is it able to, or the online analysis, is it able to tell me where I will end up based on what I'm doing out here? Okay. Is it, how close are you to CAT? Is the test series close to CAT? Is the focus on rote learning or understanding? Because rote learning cannot get you far. It is understanding which will help you. And is it application focused or not? So these are the things which you need to look at. Now, when I'm looking at 24/7 access to preparation, in CHEL you have MBA on demand, Smart CAT Tracker. Not only that, not only in terms of these two areas, MBA on demand and Smart CAT Tracker, you also have mobile apps. We have mobile apps for GK, we have mobile apps for other areas as well, including vocabulary. We are at the stage where the entire SIS, the entire test gym will be available to you on the mobile. So you can practice anytime, anywhere. You don't have to say my books are at home. How do I practice? On your way to college or coming back from office, you can practice. Okay. Coming to the second item, to the point practice. Okay. Test gym adaptive is there. Test gym adaptive ensures that that you can tailor it to your requirement. For example, if in one topic you are very good, you start from a higher level of questions. Test gym adaptive has 4 levels of questions. It starts with the beginner, then it goes to intermediate, then it goes to advanced, and finally goes to expert. So if you are weak in a topic, you could start from the beginner or the intermediate level. If you are strong in a topic, you would start from advanced and move on to expert. And once the engine says you are reasonably good in a topic, it will give you the option of moving to the next level on your own. So make sure you start using these things. Testim Adaptive is an adaptive engine. It allows you to prepare as per your level of preparation, and once you reach a particular level, it will on its own suggest that you move to the next level of questions. Okay. Performance-based prediction. We are the only ones in India who have a percentile predictor, and it has been validated and it has been found to be correct last 4-5 years. Hopefully, in the next couple of days, when CAT comes out with the results on 27th, we will be able to give the same thing for CAT 2014 students. We have already given the percentile as per our engine, and I'm reasonably sure we'll be very, very close. It is important to know where I am. It is important to know where I am in each area, and which is why percentile predictor becomes extremely important. A test series is something which actually tells you how well do you understand the paper. If you can predict the paper well in terms of degree of difficulty, in terms of kind of questions, if you can predict the paper well, if your test series is very close to the actual paper, that means you understand the paper well. Only when you understand the paper well can you prepare others for that paper. Otherwise, you will end up doing things which are irrelevant and end up wasting your time. So test series again is where CL scores over everyone else. Then we have things like actual learning instead of rote learning. We focus on usage. Okay, we focus on usage. We talk about again, if you look at the other one also, which is application focused and focused teaching methodology. You look at both of them together. Smart Quant Tracker, we help you learn how to use the choices. I have done it. Neeraj and many other CL faculty have taken papers live, recorded and given it to and posted it for students to see how the paper should be taken and where we also make mistakes. So many students avoid, no, but I have made a small mistake. That's fine. Relax. All of us make mistakes. Okay. So it is important to know that all these things which they are there, only then it makes sense preparing with an institute. Otherwise, you are taking your chances with the institute. Okay. So when I'm looking at the process, this is the overall process which CL follows. Okay. These two, proctored and unproctored mocks, they go hand in hand. They go parallelly. Or sequentially, we have put them, but they go parallelly, hand in hand. And the focus has to be on application and ability to attempt the paper well. And as I said, one thing which we have always been very, very proud of in CL is that we always are relevant to the paper. We are never going to give you stuff which is unlikely to come in the paper. For example, even this year, everyone was asking me, should I do fact inference judgment? Yes, you can do, but you should not do it. Why? Since CAT 1990, if I go back to 1990, that was the time when I took the paper, till CAT 2014, fact inference judgment have come only once, which also in CAT 2006. It is not likely to come again. Why? Because it's subjective. So there are times when you need to take a call and stand up and say, no, it is not going to be a paper which will have this question, so don't waste your time doing these things. Similarly, in the CAT preparation process, almost all institutes except CL gave papers for CAT which had 5 choices. 5 choices, why? Because CAT 2007 and 8, 6, 7, 8 were 5 choices. That's fine. But what is your estimate? I was very clear, Career Launcher was very clear that this year the paper will have only 4 choices, A, B, C, and D, 4 choices. So all our mock CATs had only 4 choices. Yes, for that, we have given 5 choice papers, but I have to be relevant to the paper. I will not give a pattern just for the sake of giving a pattern. I will not give a question paper or a question type just for the sake of giving it. It has to be relevant. It has to have some likelihood of coming in the paper. So by and large, we will stick to that, and which is I'm saying relevance is the most important thing. As long as your test series, your papers is relevant, your preparation will be relevant, and otherwise you will end up wasting a huge amount of time and not be well prepared for the paper. Okay, so leaving this to you, that take them seriously. Exercise your choice, where you prepare, how you prepare. That's completely your choice. But take them seriously, take the right decision after talking, after going through what I've just said, and then you can decide. You can stay in touch with me at on my blog gpkafunda.com. This will talk about various issues related to preparation, different points of time, and you can, to be updated, you can remain also connected with us through careerlauncher.com/exam corner or through Facebook. The Facebook ID is CLRocks. Okay, so you can go through any one of them. If there are any questions, I will take them up now. So let me just quickly see what questions have come. It seems, fortunately, not too many questions. That's good for me. Okay. 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 There are a couple of questions here. So let me just look at. Someone wanted slide 17. Okay. Okay. This video will be uploaded, so you can always go through it again. So I don't think that will be an issue. Okay. 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 Let me just look at a few of the questions which are there. Let me just remove this one. Okay. Let me just erase this completely. Okay. PPT will be, the video will be available. Question from Chitranjan. If I have 4 hours daily, how should I distribute my time for revision and regular preparation? Chitranjan, my suggestion for revision will be, let revision will be 1 day a week. For example, you could say, every Friday, I will revise whatever I did in the last 1 week. All the questions, important questions, you can keep revising them. Okay. So rather than doing revision every day, I have found it is more useful to say 6 days of preparation, 1 day of revision. And if the amount of revision increases significantly, you can then split it over 2 days. On 1 day, you could revise Quant and DI. On another day, you could revise English and RC. Okay. So you can break it into this kind of a thing, 6 days of preparation. So to me, preparation plus revision should be 6 plus 1 formula is what I have found is to be the most convenient for myself. Okay. There's a question from Kumar Harsh. Will all faculty members across all centers be working on these strategies, or the focus will be more on completing the course? Okay. See, working with strategy is a continuous process. So across centers, we will be the initial stage will always be on getting the fundas in place. It is not completing the course. I will say get fundas in place in the first 3 to 4 months. But once you are doing that, every time you do a section test, for example, if it's a, let's say, 20 question section test, even then we'll be talking about the strategy, which means which are the questions you should have attempted, which are the questions you should not have attempted at all. Okay, and which questions should have been solved in which method. So this will be a continuous process, and strategy is a continuous process. Also, in terms of strategy, something will come to you centrally. For example, all tests, all mock CATs, analysis will be done centrally. When I say centrally, we put up a video of the complete paper analyzed by key faculty members. We also put up a video in which I would have taken, or some other faculty member would have taken, a question paper like you would have taken, and that live recording will be given to you. Okay, so some things will be done centrally and some things will be done locally. In addition to what is done centrally, most of the CL centers will in any case do a analysis of the paper in your center. Okay. So, online stuff to read. To begin with, let this be e-newspapers. E-papers, I will say editorials. Someone had asked for which stuff to read, what should I read online, and I've said that go for, first of all, e-papers, the editorial pages, the international page, and the business page. These are the key things. Apart from this, if you want to read the Delhi Times and the other stuff, that's entirely your decision. but to me, this is important. Okay. Yes, this video will be available online. This you can go through it later on also. Okay. Can I prepare for CAT and civil services simultaneously? I'm currently not working. Shri Hari, sorry. Shri Hari, while you can, but I don't think this is the right approach. Okay, let me stick my neck out and say you should not do this. Okay. CAT and civil services, again, the focus, the kind of papers are very, very different. Okay. Now, CAT, let me put this way, CAT is primarily a paper which is 10th standard maths and English. Okay. GS, or let me say civil services. Civils is a paper which requires in-depth knowledge. Which requires in-depth knowledge of issues which are important for the country. Okay, so you can say in-depth knowledge of general studies or general awareness or current affairs. All these are important. History, which means the static part. So this will be very, very important that you have in-depth knowledge of these areas, and also they require you to be good in terms of the written communication, because phase 2 or the tier 2 of this paper or the main exam is a written test, which are 5 papers of about 3 hours each. So the preparation of the two is unlikely to go hand in hand. Civils is much more intensive. It will require you to drop everything else and focus on civils completely. CAT can be done along with this. Okay. What is the other question? CAT and civil services. Okay. Kumar Harsh again is asking, it takes 5 hours of traveling for me each day and 9 hours of work. I can't move close to my work location. So with this constraint, how do I prepare? With this constraint of 5 hours of traveling, you need to then find a way of preparing while traveling. So the 5 hours of traveling to work, which means 2.5 hours each side, please don't drive yourself. Please take a public transport and prepare when you are going back and forth. And on the weekend, you need to do a little more work. Okay. So my suggestion is focus on the 2.5 hours each side, which will help you at least get something in those 2.5 hours. Even if out of these 2.5 hours into 2, which is 5 hours, you are able to prepare for 2 to 3 hours, it is going to be good enough. At least it will get you somewhere. Okay. Okay. Are CL study material enough and relevant for preparation is being asked by Sankadeep. I hope I have got the name is not clear. Saha. Yeah. Deep. Let me use the word deep for you. I hope it's okay. Yes, CL material is actually the only material which is relevant, is all I will say. Ours was the only test series which was close to the paper. We regularly update our material. Okay, we regularly update our material and eliminate things which are not relevant. Typically, our test series are based on last 3 years papers of CAT, and also our estimate of what are the changes which are going to happen. And which is why if you go to my website, my blog gpkafunda.com, you will find that we had long ago said that this is what we expect the paper to be. The moment CAT came out with a new pattern, we gave our views on that and we created test series along with that. And we are the ones who are very close. If I have to look at the relevance in terms of the test series, because I have always believed test series is a culmination of your complete understanding of the paper. In terms of quantitative aptitude, DI, CL and CAT. CL test series and CAT. CAT was slightly easier. Let me say easier. We were slightly difficult. So on a scale of 5, okay, CAT was the easiest. CL was slightly more difficult. But others, most of the others, which include some of our good friends, were very, very difficult. Okay, they were completely irrelevant. DI, CL and CAT were at par. They were the similar complete thing. These were again very, very difficult by most of the others. LR, again CL and CAT were almost the same level of difficulty. And again others were, in fact, one of the feedback which many students would come back by taking the other test series, we are getting very difficult questions, I am getting disheartened. And my suggestion was, stop it. the paper is unlikely to be that difficult. You are getting demotivated unnecessarily. Similarly, when I look at verbal ability, CL and CAT were almost the same level. CAT was slightly easier, but the gap was not much. And when I look at reading comprehension, CAT was again easier than CL. We were slightly more difficult than CAT, but our other good friends, all of them were very, very difficult. So that tells you exactly what we do, hopefully. And as I said, we update our material regularly and eliminate stuff which is not relevant for the paper. And let me also repeat once again what I said earlier. I expect CAT 2015 to be more difficult than CAT 14. I expect the degree of difficulty to go up slightly. Will it go up to the level of CAT 2007-8 or CAT 12-13? No, it will not. But it will be slightly more difficult than this. So if you look at CAT 14, don't get carried away by it. Next paper will be slightly more difficult. Okay, Vivekanand. As you mentioned that QA is 34 question weight, so that means it requires more effort than other sections? No. All sections are equally important. Let me just go back to that slide if I have it with me. Okay. Let me see, otherwise I'll write it down again. Okay. Let me just erase this. Okay. See, if you look at typically quantitative aptitude, 34 questions, LR and DI, which are similar in nature, 16 each, so 32 questions, and English, which is 18 questions of RC, and language skills or verbal logic, 16 questions is 34 questions. So this is the broad breakup of questions which you can look at. Basic mathematics, 34 questions, or a third of the paper. Language skills, a third of the paper. Reasoning and calculation skills, or reasoning and understanding and comprehension of mathematics and related areas, 1/3 of the paper. So it is roughly 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Now what happens is that this is the area where you need to spend a little more time, because there's a larger number of concepts and a bigger syllabus to cover. But purely in terms of importance, I will say each one of them is equally important. And actually, as I said earlier, to me, always the skill of reading is the most important skill. Reading fast means I can do well out here. If I am good in reading, if I'm good in language, if my comprehension skills are good, then this area is taken care of. And this area, especially RC, is more about practice than anything else. And this skill will then help me out here as well as out here. But quantitative aptitude, the syllabus is vast, hence you need to spend a little more time. But in the actual paper, I would say, out of the 170 minutes of the paper, out of the two sections, okay, the two sections were QADI and VALR. Something like 85 to 90 minutes was sufficient here, and something like 80 to 85 minutes was required here. Okay, so for that total of 170 minutes. Okay, Kumar Harsh, I've already taken care of your. How is preparation for CAT and GMAT different? Yes. Okay. CAT and GMAT, actually that's a good combination for many students. Someone a little while ago asked me, should I do CAT and civils together? I said no. I will say, but if you're looking at CAT plus GMAT or CAT plus GRE, that's a good thing to do. These are good things to do because this prepares you, because when you look at CAT, GMAT, CAT, GRE, they are almost, let's say, 70-75% similar. The one key difference is that GMAT is a completely an adaptive paper. Okay? So the paper taking process is slightly different, but in terms of the concepts which you have to study, for the preparation you have to do, both of them are very, very similar. So those of you who have a couple of years of work experience and are keen to consider ISB Hyderabad or other MBA programs outside India, GMAT is a must. And the interesting part is, between CAT and GMAT, CAT has typically more difficult quant, and GMAT has typically more difficult verbal or English. Okay. So when you're doing CAT plus GMAT, you are getting well prepared for it. So because of CAT, your GMAT quant will be easy. Because of GMAT, your CAT English will become better. So my suggestion is that those of you who are not well clearly decided whether you want to do it in India or abroad, go for CAT plus GMAT. Those of you who are engineers and are also looking at MBA, and also looking at MS and not sure which of the two to go for CAT plus GRE. Again, preparation is similar. You will be able to do well in both. Okay? So one will give you the benefit in the other, and hence I'm saying people with work experience do take GMAT, because GMAT will allow you ISB Hyderabad. And when I'm saying work experience, even the final year students can do it, because ISB also has program which is called YLP. They have early entry options, so don't worry about getting that work experience. And GMAT score is valid for 5 years. So since it is valid for 4 to 5 years, you don't have to worry about saying that I should take it later on. Even if you're in the final year and you want to keep that option open, take CAT plus GMAT this year itself. Take CAT plus GMAT this year itself, and then you can use GMAT score later on when you apply. Okay. And CAT plus GRE, as I said, those of you who are engineers and want to look at, and why engineers want to go for mass communication outside India, GRE is the paper to look at. Want to study economics outside India, GRE is the paper to look at. So CAT plus GRE, CAT plus GMAT are good combinations, and while CAT plus civil is not a good combination, these are highly or strongly recommended. Okay. Okay, another question from Aditya. Should I divide my time equally on all the topics or complete one topic and then start the other? My suggestion is complete a topic, start the next one. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so as I was saying, my suggestion is that you should complete one topic and start the other. Now, what do I mean by complete the topic? You have done the funda book of the topic. Let's say you have done geometry funda book completely. At the end of funda book, you have questions without choices. Do those questions that tells you have you understood or not. Then in the book you have multiple choice questions. The funda book has without choices question and multiple choice question. Let's say about 200 odd. Once you have done all these, you have completed the topic. Okay, you can go to the next topic now. Pick up another funda book and do it. But what you should do simultaneously is you should go to test gym and keep revising, keep doing a test of geometry, let's say every 1 or 2 days. Let's say every alternate day you should do a test of geometry also from test gym. So while you have completed the topic and moved on to the other topic, you are still keep being in touch with the topic through test gym, which is an online, and which will give you, for example, it has got regular tests of 7 questions to be done in 12 minutes. Okay, which is about 100 seconds per question, which is what CAT expects you to do. So if you every 2 or 3 days you do a couple of such tests, you will stay in touch with it. And in any case, revision has to be done for entire thing. So whatever you have studied in the last 1 month, you'll still revise when you sit down for revision. And when I'm saying revision, I'm again repeating, not entire thing, but what you'll be doing is bookmarked or highlighted questions. Okay. So you bookmark the questions which are important and you bookmark them or you highlighted them. Those are the questions which you should revise. So through revision and through test gym, you stay in touch with the topic. But complete one topic and then move on to the other one. Okay. What is the difference between test gym and test gym adaptive? Okay, so let me just take that up. Okay. Test gym is a platform which is an online platform which has got questions from various areas broken down into topics. So you will have the permutation combination questions given as a separate topic. Now test gym is in 2 variants. There are 2 kinds. Okay. One is called classic. The other is called adaptive. And you can use either of them. My preference is for adaptive, but some people prefer classic. In classic has, let's say, question sets. They are fixed question papers. Okay, they are fixed question papers. So it will have, I don't remember the exact number. It will have some 500 odd question papers from various topics. Okay, So you could say, I want to do a topic-wise test. It'll give you that topic-wise test. It will give you complete sectional test also. So you'll say, I want a complete test of QADI. It has those set. So there are fixed question papers of topics and the sections which are available out here. And these are fixed. So you can go keep doing them one by one. And they are also classified by different level of difficulty. Level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 3 being the highest, level 1 being the lowest. TestGym Adaptive does not have any fixed question papers. This starts by classifying questions into 4 levels. The lowest level is beginner. Next you have the intermediate. Next you have the advanced. And then you have the expert level. So all questions in TestGym are actually classified in these 4 categories. Now when you go to TestGym and say, I want to practice question on number system and I'm weak, you will start doing the questions which are beginner, or you say, I'm somewhat okay, you can start doing the intermediate. So you'll say, it'll ask you what level of questions you want. You say, I want intermediate questions from number system. It'll give you a set of 7 questions to be attempted in 12 minutes. Okay. And so what it is doing is, while here you have to go by the prefixed question papers which are there, this gives you questions based on the right level of difficulty. Now, once you start doing questions of intermediate level and you find that you are by and large comfortable with intermediate and you have done a sufficient number of questions with the system things you are now good at intermediate, it will on its own ask you that you are good enough now, why don't you graduate to the advanced level? You can choose to do it, you may not want to do it if you are not comfortable, but most of the time I would say you should go to the next level then. What is CAT level? CAT level is advanced and expert CAT level. So lower level of difficulty of CAT, higher level of difficulty of CAT. So if you are at expert, you are by and large thorough with this topic. Okay. I hope that clears the difference between the TestGym Classic and TestGym Adaptive. Okay, how to prepare for the questions of sentence correction. Sentence correction is practice and revision, practice and revision. Nothing else works because the only other thing you need to do is go to Zen and Martin. So typically, as I said earlier also, you identify the error types. So there are 6 or 7 error types which are there on which you are checked out. So you identify those error types and you understand what has to be done. Okay. So parallelism is one of the commonest thing which is there. So parallelism is an error type. You look at the question, say, does it have parallelism error? No, it is fine. So similarly, you look at the other errors. But at the end of the day, it will require significant amount of practice and revision. Okay. Siddhant is saying, could you give some vocab tip? It's tiresome to learn 50,000 words. Actually, you can't mug up words. I have never tried to mug up words. To me, the best thing, okay, I had that advantage that since childhood I used to read a lot. So reading I have found is the best way of learning words. Whenever you're reading, you come across words, you use them. Or you come across a word which you don't know, you should definitely pick up a dictionary, find the meaning. The advantage of reading online is now you can also click on the word and you'll get the meaning of the word. So online reading is an advantage now. So help you increase your vocabulary. Another thing you can do is flashcards. Okay. So important words, you keep putting them on flashcards and keep revising them. Actually, the mobile app of CL, we are in the process we'll be launching this mobile app of CL for vocabulary. We have already done it for GK for vocabulary. So it will give you words at a regular interval. So wherever you are, whenever you are, take 10 minutes, do 10 words, see which ones you remember, which you don't, bookmark them and take them forward. Okay. So this on-the-go learning through the mobile app will be another thing which will help you a lot. Okay, Preet Singh is asking, if we leave some question in between, is it preferred to go back to them? If you leave a question because it is difficult, you don't think you can solve it, you should not go back to them. But if you think it is somewhat doable, you can. But please remember, like any other paper, your task should be to do the easiest question first. Your task is to do the easiest questions first. Okay. Then go to the more difficult ones. Okay. So that is what you should always remember. You should not do the difficult ones at all, very difficult ones. You should do only the easiest and the somewhat difficult one. The most difficult should not be attempted. Books that would be useful for CAT preparation. See, I've seen numbers of books and guides which are there in the exam in the market, but unfortunately, I have not found any book which is good. Okay, so I will not really be able to recommend any book which is good for CAT preparation. But what you should do is take study material. Any standard study material which is regularly updated is a good starting point. Okay. The other thing is a study material typically gets updated every year. For example, we do it every year. I'm assuming others are also doing it. Okay, and that should be the base. And please complete one study material. Don't go for 2 or 3 sets of study material. Please complete one study material end to end and go for test series. Additionally, what you can do is then you can look at some books in the market which have multiple choice questions. Okay, and you could look at some of them because the ones which have past papers would be again good ones. Past papers of CAT, XAT, IFT, those are the good ones which you can look at. But by and large, the books which are available in the market, I have not seen any one of them to be really good. Maninder, the video will be uploaded, so you'll have this. Continuing to my above question, I'm looking for CAT plus GRE where vocab is crucial. Yes, CAT plus GRE vocab is important, though not as important as it used to be, say, 10 years ago, but nevertheless, it's important. And yes, I think the CL mobile app for vocab should work well for you. Chitranjan is asking, should I upload TestGym before the untouched Funda books? My suggestion usually is go to TestGym only after doing the topic. As I said earlier, I think it was somewhere else. As I said, Funda book followed by unsolved non-MCQ questions, followed by MCQs in the Funda book. This should lead to TestGym of that topic. So you have done number system, Funda book, number system, non-MCQ question, number system, for MCQs in the Funda book. Now start doing regularly MCQs from TestGym. So typically to me, TestGym is a good tool after you have understood the topic. So this is a practice tool, not a concept tool. Those of you who want to prepare at home have taken Smart CAT Cracker. You can take Smart CAT Cracker, do the topics from there. So you, again, instead of Funda book, you'll have the topic video. Do that topic video, go to TestGym. Okay. So please remember, Funda book and Smart CAT Cracker help you get the concepts in place. TestGym gives you extensive amount of practice. So which is why practice should be done after you have understood the concepts. Okay, Kumar Harsh, I'm preparing for first time for MBA when compared with rest of students who have appeared earlier. Will I be at a disadvantage? Not really. Harsh, taking paper earlier is not an advantage, it is not a disadvantage, it is what you make it out to be. Or the only advantage which a person who's taken CAT earlier is that he has some comfort with the structure where he knows what the topics are. You will have to start with those topics all over, or you'll have to build up your fundamentals. So I don't think there's any disadvantage which you have. A large number of students who make it to the IIMs do it in their first attempt. Okay, so no advantage for either a first timer or a retake. Yeah. Kumar Harsh, by the time classes begin in May, June, I will have 5 years work ex. Kumar Harsh, 5 years work ex means you should go for CAT plus GMAT first of all. You should keep all options open. Okay. Secondly, 5-year work ex means you will not get full weight for your experience in IIMs. As I said, up to 3 years is the weightage. The maximum weightage is typically for 3 years. After that, weightage goes down a little. Okay. Will it be a disadvantage? Not really, because the average work experience in the IIMs in the last few years has gone up to about 3.5 years. So it's not a major disadvantage. It is not that IIMs fresh for fresh minds, as you have written. As I said, maximum weight is for 3-year work ex. So that is what they think is the ideal work experience. So you are not significantly away. So fresher is 0 work ex, you have 5 work ex. But to be prudent, you should look at CAT plus GMAT and see if you can get through and let GMAT be your backup option. Okay. ISB Hyderabad, for example, could be a backup option. Vivekananda is asking, in classes in 125 to 150 hours, they finish the whole CAT syllabus. Is it enough to clear CAT by going through classroom content? If you remember Vivekanand Yadav, I had said for every 2 hours of class, I would want you to put 8 hours of work. Okay. The right approach is, for example, if you are going for a class of, let's say, algebra, let's say quadratic equations. My expectation is you should have studied the topic from the funda book, before going into the class. In the class, whatever you have studied at home, there will be a few doubts, they will get cleared hopefully in the class. After the class, go through the topic again. So one thing is, for the 2-hour class, there's some pre-work, which means study the funda book, and there's some post-work. What you studied in the class, go through it again, which is required. So when I'm saying 125 hours of classes, that means I'm expecting you to do at least 4 times, which means 600 hours of work at home also. So concept-wise, learning-wise, 125 to 150 hours are enough to complete the syllabus in the classes. To ensure you are able to make full use of it, you will need to put another 600 hours at home before and after the class. As long as you follow this, pre-work before the class, study the topic before you go into the class. In the class, whatever doubts or whatever things you could not get cleared, get them cleared. After the class, revise what you studied in the class. As long as you follow this, things will work out well for you. MBA on demand is available throughout the program for you. There's no time limit as far as I know. The question with Chitranjan is MBA on demand limited for a particular period of time? I think it is sufficiently large amount of time that you can do everything. So I've never come across anyone who said I want to go through MBA on demand, my time limit is over. If I remember correctly, it is unlimited and you can go through it as many times as you want. So Shant, send a mail to apps@careerlauncher.com. Okay. So Shant Negi, mobile app for GK is not working. Please send a mail to support@careerlauncher.com. Okay. So that they can get it rectified. Maybe there's some issue with the version which you have. Simranjeet Kaur, universities abroad do not take candidates that have cleared GMAT, do not have work experience. Absolutely right. Simranjeet, the minimum work ex is 2 years. Outside India, most of the institutes will want a minimum work ex of 2 years. But the preferred is 3 to 4 years. So what you should do is, when you are preparing for CAT, prepare for GMAT also. And GMAT score is valid for 5 years. So even if you're in the final year, you start your application process 1 year in advance. So if you want to go for, let's say 2017 September, that means you should start your application processing in middle of 2016. And which means if you are taking CAT today, let's say if you are taking CAT 15 and you take GMAT also along with that, your score will be valid. That will not be a problem at all for you. If you want to go for 2018, you will need to apply for 2017. If you have taken CAT in GMAT in 15, it is only 2 years old. It is still valid. Okay. So which is why I said, while work experience requirement is there, because GMAT score is valid for the longer duration, CAT is valid only for that year. GMAT score is valid for longer duration. You can take advantage of CAT preparation and do GMAT simultaneously, and it will help you in both the areas. Okay. Okay. There are no other questions, so I think I'll wind up the session. But let me just check up. I think there's no other question. Okay. No, there are some other questions on the chat box, so I'll quickly go through them also. Scholarship available in CL for needy students. Yes, CL has a merit cum mean scholarship. CL has a merit cum mean scholarship, and every year a large number of students make use of this. Please contact your CL center, and they will give you the details and help you prepare. Typically, scholarship is available to CL. If you can also drop in a mail to me at gp@careerlauncher.com, and I'll connect you to the correct center. Okay. Does quality of teaching differ from one center to another center of CL? I would say no, because almost all faculty of CL go through a training process. They are certified, and then they go to a center. But each of us have our own unique style of teaching. So some people will like my style of teaching, and some people will not like it at all. So each one of us has unique style of teaching, and where there's a minor variation within that. But by and large, in terms of quality of teaching, it is similar. And what you should also remember is a large amount of resources are available online and centralized, which ensures that commonality across locations also. I am very weak in maths. Is 10 months sufficient for preparation? Yes. But if you are very weak in maths, as I said, this was asked by Saurabh Bansal, start with your 9th, 10th standard books, or start with your study material of CL. Okay. And go in depth in each of the topics. Okay. All it means is you take a little extra time, which means instead of doing 20 to 25 hours, which I said weekly, you may need to do 35 to 40 hours. So it might take a little extra time, but 10 months is sufficient for preparation. Okay. It is when you start going to 6 months and less, that's problem. So the right duration actually is 9 to 12. Up to 15 months is fine, but 9 to 12 is what I normally recommend as the right preparation period. Can I prepare for GATE, CAT and GATE simultaneously? CAT and GATE again not possible. GATE is going to focus on your knowledge of engineering. CAT will focus on something else. While GATE has 15 questions of aptitude which you can solve if you are prepared for GATE. But what you can do is you can do CAT preparation and do GATE test series, and hopefully it should do the trick for you. This is assuming you have your basics of engineering in place. If your basics of or fundas of engineering are not in place, then you may not be able to do both of them. Will it be a good decision to resign and do focus preparation for CAT 2015? I referred to this earlier also. To me, resignation, or you should work plus CAT preparation can go hand in hand. Resigning is not a preferred mode for me. You are unnecessarily, after 3 months, you'll find you don't have sufficient work, and then you'll start feeling frustrated. In any case, your work is a good backup option for you and will ensure you are not under unnecessary pressure. So my recommendation is continue with your work. Okay, so these completes all the questions. Thank you very much for being patient with me. Hopefully it has taken care of some of your doubts. If yes, good. If no, you can always connect me through my blog gpkafunda.com. You can also drop me email at gp@careerlauncher.com. And I'm also available on Facebook. Additionally, the CL Exam Corner and the CL Facebook page are your other sources through which you can reach out to us. Thank you very much. All the best.